History isn't written in stone, it's buried beneath it. If you thought we already knew everything about ancient India, recent discoveries of 4,000-year-old royal tombs and chariots are challenging in all. Before we unearth the recent discovery, it's nice to know what is being uprooted. The older belief was that chariots in ancient India were primarily used for elite combat. During the Vedic and epic periods, chariots were considered invincible instruments of battle and were given prime importance in the army. Chariots were associated with elite warriors, kings, and princes, and were seen as symbols of power and prestige. In short, if you were a commoner, you'd only enjoy seeing chariots carry your king and the elite in, out, or through the village you lived in. In 2005, in Sonali, Uttar Pradesh farmers were going about their usual business, leveling the fields to get started on their seasonal sowing. As they were busy doing their thing, one farmer stumbled upon human skeletons in ancient pottery. Obviously, if human remains are unearthed on any plot, the next best thing to do is what? Call the authorities, and that's what the farmers did. Soon, the Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, began excavations at the site in September 2018. The director, Sanjay Manjwal, was heading the entire operation. Excavations are not a one-week, month, or year ordeal. They take years. The Sonali site was first discovered in 2005, and work started that same year. However, the major excavations began in 2018. Over the years, it has revealed layer upon layer of history. The team was originally looking for ancient burial sites and artifacts associated with late Harappan or post-Harappan period. The discovery of the chariots was a significant and unexpected find that has since reshaped our understanding of ancient Indian history. Now, let's dig a bit deeper. The discovery of these ancient chariots predates historical references, like the mythological text Mahabharata. These relics date back to around 2000 BCE, and archaeologists are calling them a game-changer, as they hint at advanced war technology long before recorded history. How did such sophisticated craftsmanship exist so early? One of the most intriguing aspects in the design of the unearthed chariots, unlike simple carts, these were lightweight and built differently, possibly driven by oxen. The solid wheels and yoke found in the burial pits are most consistent with oxen-drawn carts than horse-drawn chariots. As expected, the excavations had to be unearthed and reassembled into devices that made sense. They found it to be chariots. The deliberate design of chariots, not wagons, indicates a specific purpose. This distinction highlights the sophistication of their society and their understanding and mobility's importance in different settings. In total, archaeologists unearthed 3 full-sized chariots at the site. Unlike the spoked wheel chariots commonly found in other ancient civilizations, the Sonali chariots of solid wheels with triangular-shaped radial reinforcements made of copper. The adornments might point to some royalty use. The design of the chariots suggests they would withstand significant wear, hinting at their use in battle. Additionally, the copper swords, helmets, and other weapons in the same burial context support the idea that these chariots were used for combat. But an oxen-driven chariot for war doesn't add up. The tombs aren't just burial pits, they're lavish chambers filled with treasures. Jewelry, pottery, and intricate weaponry were unearthed alongside the skeletons. Such opulence indicates these were no ordinary people, but individuals of significant social and political stature. Beyond the chariots, jewelry, combat tools, and pottery, excavations also unburied several wooden coffins. They also found ornaments like combs and other personal items and rice pots. The entire collection points to more than just one part of society. The beautiful thing about the burial site was the alignment. The coffins and associated artifacts, such as vases, bowls, and pots, were systematically arranged within the burial pits. Some coffins were decorated with figures made of copper and gold, associated with Vedic gods. The rice pots containing rice were also buried with bodies. This might have pointed to the important ancient habit of burning their loved ones with food offerings. The term royal tombs suggests a ruling elite, because these individuals may have been the earliest monarchs of the region. These excavations have opened a new chapter in understanding ancient Indian kingship and governance, and it also opens up a rabbit hole history buffs will love jumping into. The chariots adorned with copper plating suggest a militaristic culture. This raises questions about the society's structure. Was it built on conquest and combat? Early interpretations point to a hierarchical system where power was possibly maintained through martial prowess. Another unearthed truth is that the burial structures reflect advanced engineering skills. Constructed with brick and featuring meticulous layouts, they challenge existing notions of broad age architecture in the Indian subcontinent. Could this indicate an interconnected trade network influencing architectural techniques? Perhaps. The next set of relics they unearthed were a series of copper swords, daggers, and shields, suggesting these people were skilled warriors. Their artilleries show remarkable craftsmanship, with copper and other alloys being used innovatively. These artifacts hold clues of forged alliances or rival clans. The use of copper and combat tools and chariot parts was a show of early expertise. It raises the question, how did they acquire this knowledge? The intricate swords and daggers found at the site show not just functionality, but artistry. These were not mere tools of war. They were symbols of power and prestige reserved for the elite class. The chariots, too, were more for royals than warriors. You use what you have, right? Well, the use of copper and all the relics exhumed points to an abundance. It was likely they sourced it from their local deposits. The region around Sonali and the broader area had accessible copper ore deposits. These findings push back the timeline of organized civilization in northern India. The discovery challenges the belief that urbanization began with the Vedic period that ran from 1500 BCE to 500 BCE. This age was instrumental in Indian history because it was the Bronze to Iron Age transition. The Vedic society was patriarchal, organized into tribes rather than kingdoms, and the people were mainly pastoralists, cattle rearing. It was during this time that the Varna system arose. The system basically divided people into classes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shodras. The Brahmins, the highest class, were priests, scholars, and teachers. Their role was to maintain spiritual and moral order. Kshatriyas were the second highest class, with rulers and warriors. This group was the administrative and security forces. The Vaishyas were business persons, merchants, farmers, and traders. These were the labor force and service providers. They were the support system that conducted menial jobs. However, they were prominently discriminated against. Everyone practiced Hinduism, and all the evidence was stored in sacred texts of the religion. The tombs reveal unique burial practice the Brahmins probably officiated. These were placing the dead with their heads towards the east. Additional ritualistic objects found alongside suggest a spiritual belief system. Were these rituals precursors to Hindu traditions, or did they influence later practices? That's a story for another day. The advancement from Brahmins to iron gave the Indian people the power to now clear forests with ease to expand their agricultural endeavors. They even bore a new culture where pastoralists settled to form towns and more advanced social structures. The dazzling jewelry discovered in the graves suggests that some women born into wealth may have held positions of power or influence. However, this does not reflect the broader reality of ancient patriarchal societies, where most women were treated as subordinates. Remember Vaishyas? This is probably where they were instrumental. The copper artifacts hint at connections with other ancient cultures. These suggest a thriving trade network during the Bronze and Iron Ages, and an exchange of tools from civilization to civilization. Some artifacts, such as terracotta figurines, might have held religious significance. These were in the shape of animals, humans, and additional symbolic figurines. Some had intricate details, such as facial features, clothing, and accessories. Like most ancient civilizations, these artifacts might have been ritualistic significance. The archaeologists found some figurines that look like bulls, which, by the way, have been a symbol of fertility, strength, and prosperity in Indian culture. The human-like sculptures might be a representation of deities, ancestors, or mythological characters. The engineering skills displayed in the chariot construction point to a society with advanced technological knowledge. When you look at other societies like Mesopotamian or Egyptian civilizations, you find similar ideas brought to life ahead of their time. The bigger question is, were these cultures aware of each other? Artifacts of the site share similarities with the Indus Valley civilization. The similarities in age and cultural practices suggest a possible link between the two civilizations. Some scholars believe that these findings could provide clues to such interactions and transitions. The burial site's abandonment, left in the middle of nowhere without any markings, raises questions. Was it due to climate change, resource depletion, or conflict? The constant series of discoveries may give us a better understanding that could provide insights into the rise and fall of ancient civilizations. The richness of the tombs suggests the existence of a powerful yet undocumented kingdom. However, there are a few suggestions. Some scholars, like Ascoparpola, suggest that the burials might be linked to early Aryan or Proto-Indo-Iranian-speaking people who migrated into the Indian subcontinent. Changes in temperature, precipitation, and natural disasters could have affected agriculture, water supply, and overall living conditions, leading to societal stress and potential collapse. While there isn't direct evidence linking climate change to their end, it's well documented that ancient civilizations often faced significant challenges due to shifts in climate. Moving away from the relics, archaeologists also found human remains. Who were these people? Well, DNA tests on the skeletons are still underway to uncover their genetic lineage. Results could alter how we perceive the migration and settlement of ancient populations. This find is being hailed as one of India's most significant archaeological discoveries. It places the region in the global spotlight for ancient civilizations on all fronts: combat, transportation, trade, and religion. Will it encourage more international collaboration and archaeological research? We sure hope so. This revelation challenges textbook narratives that often overlook the sophistication of early Indian societies. The first is the advanced metallurgical skills timeline. This shows a much earlier use than previously thought. The second is on the engineering front, the intricate designs and construction of the chariots. Third, modifications on the previously believed cultural and societal structures. The elaborate burials with rich grave goods suggest a highly stratified society, with well-defined social hierarchies and royal lineages. The fourth discovery has to be the overlapping of timelines. So what does this mean? This means that there is a possibility many world history books will need revisions. The exact revisions might be on ancient Indian history textbooks, books on the Indus Valley civilization, Vedic period textbooks, books on combat, and texts on cultural and religious studies. But what about the cultural impact of these findings? The Sonali, chariots, and artifacts don't just rewrite history, they reframe it. They reveal a society that was not isolated but thriving, innovative, and deeply interconnected with its environment and possibly its neighbors. These discoveries spark questions about the very roots of Indian civilization. Could these findings be the missing link between Harappan civilization and later Vedic societies? Scholars are exploring whether the Sonali site represents a transitional phase blending elements of both. This idea challenges the notion of a clear-cut break between ancient Indian civilizations, suggesting instead a continuum of cultural evolution. And let's not forget the role of mythology in all of this. The chariots and burial practices echo elements of Vedic literature. Were those stories rooted in real historical practices? Or did the discoveries influence the tales we know today? It's a tantalizing possibility that the myths and epics of India may carry echoes of this lost civilization. The Sonali site also shines a spotlight on the need for more archaeological research in India. Despite its rich history, many regions remain unexplored. The Sonali discovery underscores the untapped potential lying beneath the surface, waiting to challenge and expand our understanding of the past. In the end, the story of Sonali is a reminder that history is not static. It's dynamic, ever-evolving, and full of surprises. These chariots, swords, and treasures aren't just relics of a bygone era. They're a call to re-examine what we think we know about human civilization. And as the dust settles in Sonali, one thing is clear. History is still being written. That wraps up this journey. Thanks for watching Splash Travels. Like and subscribe to uncover more of the world's best-kept secrets. And don't forget to dive into even more fascinating facts on our main page, Factornate.